to episode 57 of PauseCast. It is it's Friday. It's Friday this time. We're recording late this week. Friday, September 29th, 2017. It's a lot of 20s. I am Jessica Alouette, and I use she, her pronouns.
And I'm Mark Hanna. I use he, him.
And we're joined tonight by recurring guest, Ashe.
Hi, I am Ashe, and I use she, her.
Yay!
Woohoo! A third guest. So, wow, I don't even know where to begin this week. Is anybody else just feeling exhausted this week?
Oh god,
Yeah.
yes.
It's been one of those weeks, huh?
Yeah.
I'm glad that, at the very least, we do have, games to fall back on. I'm sure that we've all played very many of them. We've all played, a lot of games, right? Just, in terms of sheer volume of games played, we haven't been focusing on just one.
Yeah, just a lot of variety of games.
Yeah, a huge variety of games.
You know me.
Yep, we do know you. You've always played the most games out of the three of us every week, I'd say.
I'm sorry.
We can't hold this
I'm too
together.
tired for a straight face. I just... Yeah, wow, no. I've not played very many or very much of even one. This week has been... I've had stuff to do, essentially, is what it boils down to. I've continued to play a little bit of Space Pirates and Zombies, but not that much. I don't think I've touched it since maybe Sunday or Monday night. So it's been a very video game light week for me.
You have been a busy bee, haven't you been?
Yeah, so part of it is we're going to try out Starfinder tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to, and there's been some prep for that. And part of it is I've had a submission I've needed to work on, which is why we weren't able to record at our normal time. So those of you who listen live, sorry, it's a different time, but that submission was due today, so I really needed to get it done last night.
Yeah.
That's all done now, so my brain has just let go of everything today.
Yeah, I've fully just let go of kind of everything. Yeah. Wow. Ashe, we'll get to you first, though, because you've been playing one thing and one thing only.
I've been playing Knack 2.
Oh, good. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I've been playing the good sequel.
No, I'm sorry. We need to talk about Knack 2 now. How have you been enjoying Knack 2?
It's better than the first one. I feel like that's a safe comment for someone who's never played it.
I was at the warehouse down the street, and they actually do have copies of Knack 2 in stock. I popped in long enough to use the restroom, and yeah, they have Knack 2.
Were they still there when you got out?
No, they were just flying off the shelves.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I know. It's it's a masterpiece. As Yardgnome737 in the chat just correctly points out, it is in fact a masterpiece. Now, you've been playing another game with 2 in its name.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to get Knack 2 yet, so I've been tidying myself over with Destiny 2.
Okay, yeah, of course.
It came out on, I think, the 6th of September, and I have played it for 150 hours.
Wow!
Oh, is time wasted on Destiny 2 back up now?
Yeah, it's working, and
good.
Time wasted is 0 hours, because every hour has been productive. It is... I think it's my game of the year. I will go on record to say I played, I think, 569 hours of Destiny 1, so I might be a little bit biased. But... Really.
We're talking about things you game of the year is the game you enjoyed the most, essentially, right? So we're just talking about other things you enjoyed that are similar. I'm not sure that really counts as bias.
Yeah, I mean,
if you worked on Destiny 2, I'd call that bias.
There are probably games that have come out that have been objectively bad. I'm just sort of saying, I stuck at Destiny 1 for that long, and it had some problems. So yeah.
Well. you've stuck with you said you stuck with Destiny 1 for like 500 hours. You're already up over a fifth of that in Destiny 2 in a month. So like if that's that seems to me like it's an indication of the quality of that game.
Yeah.
Because that is all the time you spend in Destiny 1, including all the expansions.
True. Like Destiny 2 is in almost every way better than Destiny 1. I think like just the story, the quality of the side missions, they've taken out a lot of the grind, which is really, really good. It's much more, I guess, free-flowing now. It's not as difficult.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. I've actually watched my flatmate play some of it, and I was surprised how quickly he was able to hit max level, because it's within a week, basically.
Yeah. My only issue with it, and this comes from having, like, I guess, spent, like, almost 600 hours in Destiny 1, is that there's no way to say it without sounding like Destiny elitist, almost, but in an effort to make it more accessible to casual players, which I think they have largely succeeded in doing, it's like a much, much, much more accessible game. I think it's lost a little bit of the charm for like the really hardcore Destiny players, just based on my experiences and the experiences of, I think, some people who've been playing Destiny 1 since day one. Yeah, I guess one example would be the perk roll situation.
The what, sorry?
Perk roll. Like, so in Destiny 1, all the weapons, barring exotic weapons, had randomized perk rolls. And the perks on these weapons could be like stat boosts, like the perk rifle barrel would increase the range of a weapon.
Okay.
Or it could add like an ability to a weapon. Like some were, I think Firefly made precision kills make an enemy explode. And there was explosive rounds that would like give a small AoE explosive effect to each bullet. And part of the Destiny 1 experience, which was completely optional, like you did not have to do it at all if you wanted to just play the story and then just be like, oh, I'm done with this game. You didn't have to worry about any of this stuff. But a lot of people were on the lookout for god-rolled weapons, essentially, like weapons that had the best possible perk roll.
Okay.
And that became like an optional goal of a lot of people. And it basically meant two things in terms of, I guess, in terms of gameplay, if you want to say it that way. One thing it did was made getting duplicates of a weapon feel kind of exciting, I guess. It wasn't just like, oh, I've already found this weapon and now I've gotten another one in a loot drop, because you could get a second or a third or a fourth of the same weapon, but it might have a better perk roll than the last one. It had the potential to be better. The other thing is, although there could have technically been a best weapon in the game, like a best hand cannon or a best auto rifle or whatever, it was, I don't know really how to word it.
It's harder to get that like perfect roll because all the perks are randomized, where now what they've done is they have eliminated the perk rolls, and so every time that you pick up a weapon, it will always have the same set of perks on it, no matter what.
Yeah.
So they've definitely, like, I am a more casual Destiny player. I really appreciate that is the change, because it also makes things like the PvP more accessible to me, because I always kind of have a feel for, oh yeah, this is like a good gun and I enjoy this. And, oh, I got killed by this gun, I should watch out for that because it has this effect.
Yeah, it has in some ways balanced PvP in that everyone can kind of get the same weapons, which will all be identical, and you don't have to worry about someone having a better weapon than you, like, because they had a better perk roll or whatever. But it also sort of like, just trying to think of how to word it. In Destiny 1, I'll just pick a random gun from Destiny 1, for example. There was a pulse rifle called Touch of Malok, and it was like a really fast-firing one. arguably the best pulse rifle in the game, arguably one of the best PvP weapons in the game. But it was only that good if you got a certain perk roll on it, and if you didn't, it was maybe not that great. It needed a really high stability to be good. What that essentially meant is, although it had the potential to be the best weapon in the game, if you didn't get that roll, there are a lot of other pulse rifles that were just as viable or even more viable depending on how they rolled. Just say they were...
Because they already had that higher stability to start with?
Yeah, or they had a better perk roll. So
right.
Just say there were 20 pulse rifles in the game, it meant that way more of them were viable options to use because they could potentially get a really good roll on them. Whereas in Destiny 2, since all the perks are fixed, it does create an absolute best weapon. Like, statistically, there is a best pulse rifle. Statistically, there is a best hand cannon, so on and so forth. So it sort of creates a thing of like, okay, I've got this hand cannon, which is literally the best hand cannon in the game right now. Why would I then use any of these other 10, 20 hand cannons when this one is literally the best? And I could use these other ones, but they're objectively worse. So I guess my experience in Destiny 2 so far with that is it's made finding weapons a bit less exciting because once you already have, quote-unquote, the best weapon in the game, it's sort of like these other ones are not very useful to me now.
I do want to say as well, like, I think that's... I don't know. I've honestly forgotten what I was going to say. Yarnome in the chat, though, does point out counterpoints. Set gun rolls allow you to address overpowered weapons individually without having to nerf a perk across all weapons or without nerfing an entire weapon archetype. And that's very true, and I think that's a good point to kind of think about.
It is...
the other thing, too, I've just remembered, the thing I also want to talk about is the reason that I would personally use other weapons in a game is I like the feel of them more. Like, in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, there's very little difference in terms of, like, raw stats between the M16 and the M4. Both of those are very, like, similar weapons, and they're similar statistically, but I will almost always use the M4 over the M16 because I like how it feels. It is a weapon which feels much better to me and handles much better to me. So, like, I could definitely see a case for, I have the best X weapon in the game, but I like the feel of X weapon or Y weapon more than I like X weapon.
It's interesting. This whole there is a best weapon thing is honestly something that turns me away from games like Destiny. If you remember when I always get the name of this game wrong. I think I call it Haven, but it's called Anthem. When there was the Anthem trailer at E3, and one of the bits of fake player talk was, I've been wanting to get this weapon, and that was the only thing in the trailer that made me think, that doesn't appeal to me at all, because I see this kind of... You can go far in one direction, get games like Diablo, where the weapons are pretty much all completely randomized combinations of stats put on a weapon type. And you can go the other direction and have games like XCOM, where there are very few weapon types, and it's basically very strictly tiered, and you just go from this one to that one to that one, and the progression is set. And then Destiny 2 and 1 sound like there's kind of a combination of that, and it's gone more towards the simplified side, where it's a set progression. Now, I think I've been kind of spoiled by Monster Hunter here, because that game gives you so many options that it never feels like you need to move to this weapon. It's so much as this weapon it may be superseded by its upgrade, but still the fact that there's different weapon types and different resistances and stuff like that means that you never feel like there's one best weapon you should be going with. It always feels like there's a choice between weapons. And there's something that I find comes up in RPGs and stuff quite a lot is that you just get like a tiered weapon system. You see it in like older Final Fantasy games, probably newer ones as well actually, where it looks like you've got a selection at each shot, but actually it's just that every weapon type has like an ascending line of weapons that get more powerful, and there's no choices within that. It's just a matter of this one is better than that one typically. And yeah, I much prefer having choice and not feeling like everyone is aiming towards the same build because this handgun is the best handgun, so everyone should get it eventually.
Yeah.
It's really nice to be able to encourage variety in your player's equipment. I think.
See, I think that I haven't run up against that because, like, I have a selection of weapons that go into each slot that I really like personally, and even if they're not statistically the best, like, I understand, like, oh, I like this weapon because it feels best in these exact situations where, say, I need to do a lot of area, like, crowd control because we have a lot of, like, because we have a lot of this specific type of enemy coming at us. Well, I'll switch off to this gun that, you know, has the firefly effect where it makes people explode as I kill them. So it makes more effective crowd control, or I can use, like, various other perks for various other things, for range, etc. Like, I definitely still feel incentivized more than I did in... actually about the same that I did in Destiny 1 to, you know, continually change and adapt how I play.
Oh, yeah, no, there's absolutely situations where guns will work better. It was just more like... I guess it's more of a PvP sort of...
It really is kind of a PvP thing,
thing,
because when you come into the, like, the core of Destiny, the raid and the PvE stuff, like, that is the core of the Destiny experience, and in that the stats don't matter as much as they do in PvP, where, like, yeah, in PvP you're gonna have a lot of people who are aiming to get the quote unquote best weapons in the game.
Maybe it's a weird thing for me to worry about, given I avoid PvP.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it might be, just because, again, like, I think that it offers so much variety in the core activity of the game that, like, if you're avoiding PvP anyway, you're fine.
Yeah, I think I described the problem as being worse than it is. It's not that bad, but just the concept or the idea is something that I tend to notice. I think.
Right.
And of course, it's on a scale, you know. Like I described XCOM, you've got, like, 3 tiers of weapons. And yes, in XCOM 2 you can customize individual weapons, which helps with that somewhat. But, you know, Destiny is nowhere near that point where you've got, like, 3 shotguns to choose from, and it goes from the bad shotgun to the decent one to the good one.
Yeah, I've been playing Persona 4 this week as, like, a...
Sorry, before we move on to Persona 4, could I respond to the chat thing?
Yeah, sure. This is the counterpoint to the set gun rules? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. From what I remember in Destiny, that is true. That is absolutely true. Fixed perk rolls make it easier to nerf or buff, like, certain guns or whatever. It definitely makes it a lot easier. But from what I remember, Destiny 1, the only really problems with overpowered guns in the Crucible were fixed perk roll weapons. So
I thought you said there was, like, a whole situation with auto rifles, like, as a whole entire class.
Oh, yeah, no, initially auto rifles were really overpowered in Destiny, and things were nerfed as classes sometimes, but it was more like Year 2, for example, there was one auto rifle that was really, really, really good called Doctrine of Passing, I think. It was really high rate of fire and just, like, really, really good. It was a Trials of Osiris weapon, and it dropped with a fixed perk roll. And that's one of the reasons it became such a problem, was because you didn't have to luck out and get a good RNG roll. If you got
Yarnum also points out they also messed up all the hand cannons in the game in an attempt to rein in Thorn and the Last Word, which did not work.
They eventually rebuffed hand cannons, I believe. But again, like, it was, that was bad. They should have just nerfed Thorn and the Last Word as opposed to hand cannons as a whole. But I guess an example from the end of Destiny would have been a certain pulse rifle called Clever Dragon. So the one I was mentioning earlier, Grass from the Lock, that was, like, again, best pulse rifle in the game, potentially, but you had to be really, really lucky to get it to drop, and to get it to drop with a good roll in particular. During the last year of Destiny, they sold what was basically a variation of that weapon at a vendor, which meant anyone could just go and buy it. And in doing that, everyone, of course, went to buy it, and that just became more or less the only thing people used in PvP. You would see them, many people running them every match. It was kind of like, it just was the only thing you saw in PvP for a long time. It was actually one of the reasons I stopped playing, because I was sick of sort of coming up against it. And that sort of, I think, is the issue with static perk rolls. It means that, I don't know, we might just be coming at it from different perspectives, but like sort of static perk rolls creates a system where this is like the best weapon, and people will tend towards that for the most part. And I think it creates metas more, and kind of makes Crucible a bit more boring, because everybody's running the same things.
I want to dip back to what Mark was saying earlier about weapon tiers, and talk about Persona 4, because I've made that my bus game recently. Because I had this like inkling to start picking up the Persona games again. And so I was like, well, I've started Persona 4, and I'm like 50 hours into it, so I may as well, just pick it back up. I remember everything where I was, and so I picked it up as my bus game, and it very much uses that same kind of like system where you mentioned like, oh yeah, everything, all the like weapons in the game, there's one for each person, and they're all kind of on an ascending tier, so it looks like you have choices, but no, it's constantly this, like, oh, this one is objectively better than the other one. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just you're constantly scaling up, and there's not really any, like, different kind of perks or anything to worry about in that game.
Yeah.
Since I haven't done this yet as well, the games I've been playing this week, because I've played a bunch of them, I played a little bit of Grim Dawn, which is a Diablo-style game.
I've heard of that. Do I own that?
Yeah.
I don't think I've played it.
I played it for about an hour so far.
How'd you find it?
I'm not entirely sold on it. Something that I like about Torchlight, which is the only other like Diablo-like game I've played. I haven't played Diablo proper beyond the first act and like the starter edition. But the thing I like about Torchlight is it was constantly challenging me to manage like crowd control and a lot of AoE stuff, where Grim Dawn seems to be largely focused on keeping me engaged with single targets at a time. And so it's kind of this different flow that I'm not entirely sold on yet, but I'm totally willing to keep going on this because I had a good time with it. In spite of that, there's quests and there's dialogue choices, which is kind of interesting. So I think I'm going to enjoy digging into that quite a bit.
Nice. How does its skill system work? Is it like a skill tree where you get skill points when you level up?
So there is that, yeah. When you level up, you get 3 skill points, and all of the skills are on tiers. So you have to...
Is that locked by level?
No, actually. They're locked by how many points you put into the like tier unlocking.
Oh, right. Okay.
So there's like you have a system where you can put tiers into like you can put points into actually unlocking a tier of skills, which you just need to put 1 in to start, and then you can invest 2 more points. But as you go on, you'll need to invest more in that. So that will kind of advance you along the skill tree.
Does it have easy respecking, or once a point's spent, it's spent?
I am fairly certain there's like a vendor who will allow you to respec your skill points.
That's the common thing. And then like it's typically more expensive the second time and so on.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, to be honest.
The other important thing that I look for in these games is how cool does the equipment look on your character?
I still look pretty dumpy because I've just started.
I mean, that's fair.
It looks pretty all right though. I'm looking forward to getting like actually cool gear. It's weird, kind of post-apocalyptic fantasy.
Okay, I haven't played it. I've just found it. I don't have it in my library or anything.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of a cool post-apocalyptic fantasy. It's very dark and very much like Diablo 2.
Okay.
Some of the monster designs and some of the like weapon designs and stuff look very much kind of like Bloodborne.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which I appreciate that aesthetic a lot. So I hope that I can get gear that makes me look like Bloodborne characters.
They had some pretty cool monster design, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Bloodborne has some very cool monster design. Yeah, so I'm enjoying it, but like it's definitely got a different enough feel from Torchlight that I'm kind of like, I don't know on it yet.
Okay.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, those three things are kind of the three main things that I wonder about when I'm looking at games like this. And the first two, I didn't really realize how much I didn't like being unable to respec my character until I played Diablo 3 with its like constant respecking. Because that is just, it takes the stress out of it for me because I'm always worried, crap, am I going to screw up my build permanently if I spend points in the wrong area?
The other thing that I was playing was Mafia 3.
Nice.
And I finished that game.
Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really, really enjoying Mafia 3. I saw that story through to the end. It was so worth it. I also accidentally, like, I found a file afterwards on my computer that was 30 gigabytes, and it was the last 2 hours of video footage of me playing that game, which meant I got to, like, see this cool moment that happens at the end again, and, that game is so good. I thoroughly recommend Mafia 3. It is my favorite narrative experience ever in a video game.
Wow.
Really?
I am content to say. Yeah. I cannot think of a game where I have enjoyed the story more.
Even Alan Wake.
Even Alan Wake? I think
I could hear how painful it was for you to say that.
I think it gets put above Alan Wake. Like, I fucking love Alan Wake, and I will never not love Alan Wake, and it is still my favorite game of all time. Like, Mafia 3 hasn't dethroned Alan Wake in that regard, because there are aspects of the gameplay of Alan Wake that I still ultimately enjoy more. But my favorite story has come from Mafia 3. Yeah, I'm real happy with that. I'm looking forward to playing the DLC. There is 3 whole separate stories for me to go play, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Reminds me, I still haven't played the Mass Effect 3 DLC, despite that being a game that I really love the story of.
The DLC for Mafia is really interesting too, because a lot of the like base game of Mafia 3 revolved around a very kind of repetitive structure.
Okay.
Which, you know, it's ultimately not too bad because firefights are fun and whatnot.
Right.
But it was a lot of kind of the same mission structure.
Mm-hmm.
But immediately starting to play the DLCs, there is just way more mission structure and way more interesting things going on.
Cool.
So, like, there's one called Sign of the Times, which adds the ability for you to investigate scenes, kind of LA Noire style.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and you'll like pick up pieces of the world and look at them as evidence and stuff. I really like that. I really like that there is more variation. in those DLCs, and I'm super looking forward to playing more of that.
Nice.
Speaking of LA Noire, are you looking forward to the remaster?
Holy shit, am I looking for... Yeah, they're remastering it for... It's just Xbox and PlayStation 4, right?
Is it not coming to PC?
I mean, I imagine not.
Is it not on PC?
It is on PC. It's been on PC since launch. It is coming to Switch.
Oh, I own it.
Says Yardno. You own LA Noire?
Yeah, I've got it on Steam.
What are you doing? Have you played that game yet?
I've played, I think 6 hours of it on the PlayStation, I think, when it first came out, and my brother got it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks
That's
like
a good game. I'd recommend it.
PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and HTC Vive.
Oh, right. Okay, so it's not actually like... Wow, that kind of sucks, actually. It's not getting a remaster on PC with all the nice new assets.
That's so weird.
Yeah, especially since typically they're the platforms that can run that stuff the easiest. If you've got a high-end PC, it is, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, that is weird. Yeah. Speaking of the PS3, though, I had a very, very good experience yesterday because we went to our local game shop, which sells pre-owned games, and Ash spotted a game that I've been looking for months in like pristine condition with the bonus content and bonus soundtrack included in it. And it was sub $20, so that was like an instant pick. Like you can't get that game digitally anymore. For whatever reason, PlayStation doesn't sell it digitally at all, which drove me wild for a while. But now I have it on disc. It's Yakuza 3. I'm looking very much forward to playing that at some point.
Nice. They've had a new game in that franchise come out this year, haven't they?
So what they've had in the past couple of years, they've had Yakuza 0, which is a prequel game.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of. I haven't played any of them.
And then there was one that was released last month called Yakuza Kiwami.
Okay.
Which is a remake of the very original game, because that was on PlayStation 2, PS2. It was on PS2. It was not on PS1.
Okay.
So that game got a full remake for the PS4. Yakuza 2 also getting a full remake for the PS4. I believe Yakuza 1 never actually... No, because Ash, you played it when you were a child.
Yeah, Yakuza 2
which is extremely not a game that you should... Yakuza 1. Yeah. Extremely not a game that a child should be playing.
Yeah, Look.
Does this explain why you're so violent all the time?
It's violent. It's like it's a mafia game. It's about the Japanese mafia.
I totally got a mafia vibe from you when I first met you, Ash. This explains it.
Oh, jeez. But no, Australian video stores, I guess. I don't know what to tell you.
Aren't they really strict in Australia, though? On, video game sales to underage people and shit?
Yeah, I had a cool dad, so...
That helps.
I mean, we are too here in New Zealand.
Isn't Australia, the worst, though?
No, I mean, you might be thinking of the fact that, they had, they've definitely censored more games than New Zealand has.
Okay, I think that is what I'm thinking of, yeah. They tend to give things higher ratings, right? More restrictive ratings.
Yeah, so there was a big thing a few years ago. I think it was actually, Aliens vs. Predator, a bad Aliens vs. Predator game. It was sort of the thing that I think restarted the conversation and pushed it forward, but we didn't have an R18 rating until only
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, not very long ago.
It had to be Grand Theft Auto 5 also. That had to be...
I think we already had one by the time that came out, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
But, yeah, a lot of games used to be really censored here Like, some didn't even come out. Like, perplexingly, I think it was Mark Echo's Getting Up, which was a graffiti game, was banned in Australia. But more violent games were fine.
Can't have you damaging property now.
Yeah, right? And Left 4 Dead was the other one, wasn't it? That was like...
Left 4 Dead got, like, really censored. Like, it's not as, like, graphically violent. That as soon as the R18 rating was added in Australia, that basically just became the level of hyperviolent which the game was known for in its uncut version.
Yeah, I think Fallout 3 as well. There's like an item in Fallout called Med-X, which was originally called morphine, but they had to change it because it was a real-world drug, I guess.
Oh, I didn't realize that there was a story behind it being called Med-X.
Yeah, the story behind it being called Med-X is exactly that. They were originally it was just originally going to be morphine, but the Australian government wouldn't allow you to have a game in which morphine gave you like positive effects and stuff. That's kind of like the main gist of why they censor a lot of drug use stuff, was that, oh yeah, we can't show that drugs have positive effects in the video game context. That's bad.
Never mind the fact that they've got like a syringe strapped to binoculars or something called Psycho that can...
Yeah.
But it's not a real drug.
No.
That's the thing.
No.
Never mind all that, but like the fact that it was then like real world drugs was then what pushed it over the line, and then the Australian government wouldn't classify it if they did not change it. And so
I wonder how they feel about Fallout 4 letting you turn fertilizer into a drug you inhale.
Huh.
You can turn fertilizer into jet, I'm pretty sure, in Fallout 4.
Interesting.
You're planning on going back to Fallout 4, aren't you, Ash?
Yeah, I have the DLC. Like, I bought the season pass, but I never actually got to play much of the DLC.
I'm in kind of the same boat.
I did play the robot one, because I remember making a giant pink robot named QT.
Okay, I didn't do that, but I did play some of the robot stuff. I didn't get far enough in it, because I was playing it in my survival save, where it's impossible to do anything.
Right. Yeah. So I remember one of my favourite runs I ever saw of that game was someone who was doing, I think it was a no combat run, but they accidentally, I don't even know if it was no combat or not. For whatever reason, they somehow accidentally attacked Preston, and he basically became the Terminator.
I heard about this, yes.
He wouldn't, like, de-aggro, and he just followed him the entire game. And he was like, alright, I have to, like, strategically knock him out, and then try and get as far away as I can, periodically, and oh my gosh.
But if you get too far away, he'd teleport to you, wouldn't he?
Something like that, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Gosh, video games are good.
Fallout 3 had a few different censorship things, I remember. Like, I think in Japan, the like rocket launcher thing had a different name.
Oh yeah, because it was called, like, it was named after, it was named Fat Boy, which was one of the nuclear weapons that hit Japan.
Yeah, like Fat Boy or Fat Man or something like that. And I think they changed it to nuclear launcher.
Yeah, it was Fat Man, and because it was Little Boys, the other one, right? Not in the game, but...
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's actually just... I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is the, like, Fat Boy. It's like the amalgam of the two.
Oh, okay.
Which arguably makes that worse, but, like, yeah...
I mean, in either case, it's a clear reference.
Yeah, in either case, it's a clear reference to the nuclear weapons that struck Japan during World War II. And so, like, that was removed as, like, a cultural sensitivity thing.
Mm.
I wouldn't classify that as censorship. I would classify that very much in the, like, camp of cultural sensitivity. I think, like, localization a lot of the time tries to fall into that. Like, a lot of the time when Japanese games come over to the West, it's like, oh, they're being censored. Look, they removed these, like, small details near this character's underwear. And it's like, they're actually just making like more acceptable for this audience.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I almost want to say the words.
I'll just say the words. They removed her vagina bones. Let's let that settle in. Did you forget?
No, I just can't. It's just thinks that.
And you know it's the same people who are like petition to cancel Far Cry 5 because it's unpatriotic.
Yeah.
Free speech, etc. It's all speech is free until it affects me directly, and now your speech is not free anymore. You can't say that. That's huh. All this like Destiny talk also has gotten me thinking about this other thing that I've thought a lot about this week.
Mm.
I really like armor customization, and I really like all the guns in Destiny a lot. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Where I like the guns more? The answer is Borderlands. I really like the guns in the Borderlands series. You know what Borderlands does not have? Armor customization.
They've got like a tiny bit where you can get the drops that change how your head or colors look, but that's the extent of it.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if Borderlands had armor customization, there is no way I even would have picked up Destiny. Like, actually no way I would have picked it up. I enjoy Borderlands a lot, and the quest variety in Borderlands is so much greater than what is in Destiny that, like, unquestionably, if it had the same kind of feature set as Destiny, there is no way I would be playing Destiny.
Is your
Absolutely
main
not.
desire for, like, the aesthetic, like, the visual customization options that different looking armor would give, or more for, like, ability, like, perk-based
I mean, why not?
stuff?
I mean, we could go both, but really it's just, like, the dress-up aspect of
Right.
that
right.
is so appealing to me.
Same here, absolutely.
Like, yeah, if you could dress up properly in properly in Borderlands, I would play that.
You know what
So
game
much
is
more.
really great for dressing up in a lot of different armor?
Mm.
Diablo?
I mean, I guess. At least in that game you can say what color it is and what you change everything to look like. But that's not what I was
Okay.
thinking of. I'm thinking of
What were
Monster
you
Hunter.
thinking?
There's so much armor.
Yes. This is true. There is a very, very much armor.
It's interesting. I think we've talked about it before, how some games will split aesthetics from stats. So you might have like social slots, like in Terraria.
Like the Division.
Right, yeah. Monster Hunter doesn't do that, but it also has a huge variety of armor, whereas Diablo does split them apart because you can dye them and transmogrify them. One of the things that I remember switched me off The Witcher 3 is it kind of gives you the choice between have bad stats or look like shit. Because it gives you these really ugly armor that's way better than the armor you currently have. And it's like,
Yeah.
not until you can do the quest to get the high-level Witcher armor can you look okay again. You have to wear a metal marshmallow suit with, like, bee patterns on it in the meantime.
I found a few, like, nice pieces of armor that I enjoyed in The Witcher, but yeah, like, The Witcher armor is kind of ugly. At least it's something, but it's kind of ugly.
I just want to look like a badass. It's all I want. Is that so much to ask? I mean, I'm not even talking about me. I'm talking about someone who actually is a badass. It should be easier.
Yeah. The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. There we go.
Although that
Yeah.
it wasn't as bad as Oblivion in this respect, but it had the same issue of a very tiered system of armor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it has to split between light and heavy armor. But still, Morrowind was actually really cool just for the fact that you could like put robes on top of your armor and change out every single piece. It's like, hey, this is my left glove and my right boot and my left pauldron and stuff.
That's cool.
It's cool. It makes it way harder to like get a complete set of armor, I'll tell you that. Whereas in Skyrim, it's like, hey, you've found a complete set of steel armor except for the helmet. Well done. So there's kind of, I can understand positive aspects of both of those. Morrowind's very cool, but it's not nearly as easy to play as Skyrim.
With the scaling in Oblivion, it's like, I want a glass armor set. I guess I'll kill a bandit, I suppose. Like,
yeah, now all the bandits have got the best armor in the game because I'm cool.
It's like, why are you stealing? Just sell the armor. Like,
yeah,
you can live.
Right. You've got like a magical glass sword and Daedric armor. What the hell is wrong with you? Lead a campaign to take over the country. Fuck.
Oh gosh, I'm just thinking, what if Nier had armor customization?
There are some outfits, and they're about what you would expect.
I guess there's like what are the outfits? Because the only thing I can think of for outfits in Nier Automata is either normal or self-destructed.
Oh, I think for DLC, and the answer
to
there's
the
what
DLC,
they are
like,
is just more revealing.
Yep, I remember that, actually.
The DLC in which you inexplicably fight like the head of Platinum Games.
Yeah, that was buck wild, huh?
Huh.
Hey, how did that happen?
Don't know, but his like projectile attack was firing little heads of himself.
Okay.
I was really surprised by like Square Enix's reaction to Nier Automata, because Square Enix is really surprised with how that game has been selling, because it sold 2 million copies in 6 months, and that's well below what Square Enix were expecting for the game.
Below or above?
Well above what they were expecting. Like, way, way above their expectations. And to the point where one of the directors at Platinum has essentially said that it saved Platinum Games as a studio.
Wow.
But they were also were disappointed with the sales of Tomb Raider, with 3.4 million sales in 4 weeks after it had just been revived. Like, I don't understand how Square Enix and their sales operation, like their sales expectations, work anymore. That seems buck wild to me.
I guess because like Tomb Raider is a decades old, like pretty big franchise versus like a lot of people didn't even play or hear of the first Nier.
I mean, I guess, but like, it's still surprising to me that they like even funded Nier Automata, even though they expected like less than 2 million they expected way less than 2 million to sell. Like, if I had to guess what their expectations would have been, I would have guessed like maybe kind of 800,000 to 1 million would have been their expectation in total sales. And so, like, that they've exceeded it with to a huge degree with 2 million seems really, really surprising to me. And it seems surprising to me that they're willing to fund a AAA priced game at like seemingly that much risk and with that little return.
Yeah, I'm honestly still surprised it got made, because like, I speak for most people who played the original Nier to say, like, even though there were elements of that game that made it kind of one of the most memorable things I've ever played, it was not well received, like, at all. It was like 5 and 6 out of 10, so a lot of people didn't even play it. I don't imagine it sold very well. So I was like really surprised when it got a sequel.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems kind of wild to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the prolonged silence. I'm just booting up the inbox.
Speaking of video game sales and stuff,
Yeah.
we were talking about Titanfall 2 earlier, like Jess and I.
Mm-hmm.
if this site is to believe, its global total as of the 5th of August 2017, 1.35 million.
Okay.
And according to Wikipedia, EA expected the game to sell 9 to 10 million units in its first year of release.
Really?
Yeah.
Oof.
Those two numbers are pretty different, I notice.
Yeah, those are very different numbers, in fact.
Yeah, the sales. I'm reading this article now. Titanfall 2 to sell 9 to 10 million units. Battlefield 1, 15 million, says EA.
Wow.
And they projected even though they're releasing at the same time, I don't think there'll be an overlap of player base. I don't think it'll really affect Titanfall 2. And that was a bad prediction.
Yeah, it seems like
that seems ambitious.
Yeah.
Apparently Titanfall the original shipped 3 million.
Okay. This thing I'm reading says 7 million.
No. Yeah, Titanfall 1 shipped. Oh, you know what? It might be. Maybe that was just one platform or something. I don't know.
We're talking about numbers that are so far out of what I understand how to predict that if you had said like 100,000 or 10 million, I would have been just as believing in either case, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I understand. Yeah. Well, the same website I got the Titanfall 2 one from said the original Titanfall sold 2.97 million.
Okay. Yeah, that seems wild. Sales expectations for like AAA are wild.
They're so variable. I don't even know what's good anymore.
Not their predictions, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly. Seems like they have some work to do on the algorithm. Speaking of algorithms.
Yeah?
We can talk about computers and digital bullshit. Ruiner is out.
Ruiner?
I hear that game is good.
Now, that sounds like something I've been told about before, but I can't put my finger on what it is.
It's like a cyberpunk top-down shooter. Like Hotline Miami kind of situation.
Okay.
I really love the aesthetic of Ruiner.
Oh, yes, I remember seeing these screenshots. I'm pretty sure you have told me about this before.
I am almost certain that I have. It's out. I hear it's good. Cyberpunk Light Drifter, says Yardno. That's accurate. Like Hyper Light Drifter, but for cyberpunks.
What's the price
dedicated
like?
to all the real cyberpunks out there.
What's the price like for
you were
this
saying
game?
something, Mark? $25 New Zealand, roughly.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It is. It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
I'm running out of things to talk about.
Sorry.
I think it's time to wrap this up.
Probably.
Mark, what are you looking forward to playing this week, if anything?
I'm really looking forward, actually, to trying out Starfinder tomorrow, which I can't even remember if I've mentioned or not. It's a new tabletop RPG from the makers of Pathfinder that's sci-fi. So we had our session 0 last weekend making characters. Tomorrow we're going to have session 1. I'm really looking forward to trying that. In the long term, I feel like it might run into the same tiered weapon and equipment issue that we've been talking about here. But I mean, the advantage here is, hey, the person running the game can just add in some new equipment and it'll be fine, and we can have choices.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can even have 2 of the same type of weapon and just say, hey, they're from different manufacturers. This looks like this looks like that. Pick your aesthetic. So it doesn't have exactly the same issue as video games there. But that honestly, that's the main thing I'm looking forward to. It's not even a video game. I'm not sure what video games I'm likely to play in the next week, but now that submission due date today has passed, I did send it in, yeah. Phew. Now that that's passed, I'm sure I'll be picking some more up. What was it I was playing before even?
Would have been XCOM DLC, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I was going to finish XCOM XCOM 2. Now that I finally can, because I want to see what happens when the Chosen can assault me, and then see if they've changed the very, very end game, like the last story missions, at all. And then either start a new one or finally jump back into Andromeda and go through the rest of that, because I really lost my momentum there when my laptop got broke.
Oof. Ash, what are you looking forward to playing? Is it going to be Destiny?
It's going to be Destiny. That's the thing.
I'm super surprised to hear that.
Night in the Woods did finally get a patch to make the Platinum Trophy achievable, so I'd probably go back to that, because I've been super looking forward to going back to that for basically since the month it came out. I think I got it a month or two after it came out, and it's been bugged this entire time, so I'm super looking forward to going back to playing that.
Nice. What about you, Jess?
I am looking forward. Call of Duty World War II is running a beta this weekend, so I'm looking forward to giving that a shot.
Wow, another first-person shooter based in World War II. I'm shocked.
Yeah, right, but, like, it's from the people who made one of my favorite Call of Duty stories, from Sledgehammer. So I have no doubt that the campaign in this one will be very good.
Here's hoping.
Here's hoping. They had Kevin Spacey last time. They did the Kevin Spacey one, and it was very good.
What was that, sorry?
Sledgehammer did the Kevin Spacey Call of Duty.
Oh, yes, of course.
Advanced Warfare.
That was Press X to pay respects, wasn't it?
It was.
It was Press X to pay respects. It was also Press X to play the best Call of Duty game.
Yep, it's true. I have beef with people who only know about that scene. Oops. My beef is mostly it's an easy target.
I mean, honestly, I don't even think it's something I should be criticizing, since the thing that I find I continue to criticize or want to criticize is how games only let you interact with stuff through violence. So, like, it's an attempt at changing that. So I shouldn't really criticize it or laugh at it for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's often shit on as, like, just an easy target, is the thing. Like, oh, look at how dumb Call of Duty is. It's press X to pay respects. Am I right, everyone?
It just seems a little bit bizarre. But, no, as attempting to subvert the whole you can only interact with the world through violence trope is good, and we should see more of that in video games.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing about that is, like, that whole scene where that happens is actually, like, a scene. You can walk around in it for a little bit if you want to. Mm-hmm. Like, you can walk around that section before you actually pay your respects.
So it's not just like a quick time sequence sort of thing.
No, it's not like a quick time sequence or anything. It's just like you can walk around that scene and, like, kind of sort of explore it briefly, mm-hmm. and then kind of advance. It is a fine way to drive kind of engagement in those kind of scenes where you actually want people to be able to like, have a moment of interactivity in what would otherwise be a static cinematic.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you some, like, choice, some, like grand thing to do in there, but, like, it's something where you have a thing you can interact with, and you have a scene that you can kind of see around. Like, again, it's just an easy target that people enjoy shitting on. Yeah, other than that new Call of Duty thing, I'm thinking probably Grim Dawn is going to be my other kind of big one, and Persona 4.
Probably the betas, too, if they're out this week. I think that's meant to be a call. I think there's a Call of Duty World War II PC beta.
Yeah, no, I mentioned that.
Oh, sorry.
I was excited about that.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm so sorry. Dress made me drink half a can of whiskey earlier, and I'm drunk now. No, I'm not.
You're not.
I'm not. I just haven't drunk in a long time, and it made me sleepy. And sorry, but Lawbreakers free weekend as well, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Lawbreakers with all 20 players on PC.
Sorry, you cut out for me again just then.
Lawbreakers only has 20 players on PC active right now.
Is it quite an old game?
Nope.
It's a super new game. It only came out a few months ago.
It launched on the 8th of August, and it's a competitive first-person shooter. And just could not get an audience.
Oh, damn.
It's an unfortunate situation of similar to Battleborn, although Battleborn's doing a little bit better.
That was the one that came out at the same time as Overwatch, right?
Yeah. Overwatch has super cornered the market on kind of arena shooters, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
not really.
What is competing with Overwatch right now?
I'm not saying Overwatch hasn't locked down the competition in its space, but it's a hero shooter. It's not an arena shooter necessarily. Arena shooters, you think Quake and Unreal Tournament, which there is no competition in that field right now because no games are being made like that right now.
But hero shooter, I guess, is maybe a better thing. But just Battleborn sort of got killed by Overwatch. This Lawbreakers is in a similar vein, I think, and has I think largely been shut down by Overwatch.
It's interesting, isn't it? Sometimes you can look at a game and say, that's a really good game. People should make more games like that. And then sometimes it's, that's a really good game. If we make one like that, no one will play it because they'll play this one instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. From what I heard from reviews, it doesn't play like a bad game at all. But I think it was just not as... A lot of beef people had was with the characters, and they were just kind of boring. Boring design, they didn't differentiate that much from each other, whereas Overwatch, even Battleborn for that matter, was able to really differentiate between its characters.
I suppose to a degree, these multiplayer-only games, it's kind of like Facebook, right? The big one can actually be shit, but if everyone's on there, what choice do you have?
Yeah.
Not to say Overwatch is shit, but having that audience to start with is such a big deal that even if a much better one came out, you're not going to see everyone jump ship, and it might struggle because of that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think Lawbreakers would be a pretty cool game to play some more of, and I'm going to give it a shot. That's it's a good thing that Ash pointed that out. I might stream it tomorrow, depending on how many people are also actually playing it. But yeah, it launched to kind of middling reviews, 7s and 8s kind of situation, which is it's basically a death sentence now. This is such a good year that if you're a 7 or 8 game, everybody's passing you up to go play the 9s and 10s.
Number ratings are so awful.
I mean, yeah, I agree.
A 7 is
I'm
a
just
0.
saying,
A 7 is a 0, basically.
A 7 is essentially a 0 right now. It's it's not on my radar. But it's a strong... I've heard Lawbreakers is real strong, so I want to give it a shot. And I really hope people pick it up also, because if it is a good game, then people should hopefully play that. We keep going. I read an interesting piece on Waypoint a while back about Lawbreakers, actually talking about a lot of the marketing surrounding Lawbreakers was it's a throwback to the era of ultra precise kind of very fast shooters like Quake and stuff with its own kind of twists. But this piece on Waypoint, which I'll link to in the show notes, it talks about how maybe Lawbreakers is a throwback to an era which never actually existed for a lot of people.
How so?
When you're talking about games like Quake and all that, you're also talking about the days of real shit internet, back in dial-up days kind of situation, and you have all these precise shooters, but the context in which you'd be playing them was goofing off with friends, rather than kind of the ultra competitive scenes that we see nowadays for a lot of these multiplayer games, because esports was not a thing. And now it is.
You mean more LAN parties and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm meaning more LAN parties and stuff like that, and playing against bots.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need to have even close to the same level of skill. as you would to like compete in a competitive shooter space nowadays. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting piece, and again, I'll link that in the show notes for people to read.
Cool.
All right, let's wrap up. Let's wrap this up. Bring it home. Mark, you're online. Where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at HonestUniverse, and I blog as well, though not about video games, at honestuniverse.com.
Ash, where are you at online?
At the Queer Steer on Twitter.
And you can find me at, hopefully when it's working, because at the time of me saying this, it's down. But you can find me at bird.school, and you can find me at hoisted.online. Thank you to our patrons for their continuing support of the show. It means a lot to us. I'm going to pull up our patron list really quickly just to make sure that I don't miss anyone, in case we have any new patrons. Thank you to our patrons: Allerdrain, Noah Holmes, Residoke, Ashe Yee.
Who's that?
Laminated Moth. Oh, who is Ash? I don't know. And PD for their continuing support of the show. It means a lot.
It does.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy with the support that we've gotten from all our patrons, and it really means the world to us. So thank you for supporting us making this show for you every week. If you would like to support our show, you can do so by going to bit.ly/PauseCast, and that will take you to our Patreon. And support us for as little as $1 a month, and you get access to bonus content when we make it. We are going to have something interesting coming up for you in the month of October. It will be a secret pilot, and we're not going to say anything more than that. That's still on track, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Secret pilot this month. Patrons will get to hear about this interesting new project that we've got cooking up first. You'll also get access to like interviews, spoiler casts. We might do a Destiny spoiler cast. I might bring Ash on for that at some point. Patrons get first access to content like that, and you get a thank you from us every week.
I should have saved my Destiny 2 stuff for that. It would have been...
Well, I mean, we
can
still talk about the story stuff.
I have
all the
questions about the end of Destiny 2.
Right.
I watched Ken, my flatmate, play through the end of it, and I was like, what just happened? Because, I don't have the context of all the Destiny lore. Because that's the reason why.
Wild things happen at the end of Destiny.
We won't get into it now.
Revisit coming.
Yeah, we can't talk about that. It's spoiler cast. Thank you to Leon for the use of our theme song, Honey Milk Island. It's kind of everywhere. It's on iTunes. It's on SoundCloud. You can find Leon's music at soundcloud.com/LEYAWN. And lastly, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or anything, please consider giving us a rating or review on your platform of choice. It helps us out a lot. Thank you so much for listening to episode 57 of PauseCast. I'm sorry if it seemed like a bit of a slower one this week, but I think we're all feeling kind of the after effects of the week in general.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling slow.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.